Okay, let's see here. So we got money. King Kong, Lawful, greetings. Welcome, welcome. Heathcliff, Lawful, greetings. Welcome, welcome. What is today's topic? Today's topic is the completed draft and our next steps. That is our topic for today. Today we're going to be discussing some of the things I've been talking about, but you in the public have not seen it as yet. So we are going to be doing some unveiling today. We're going to be talking about how we solve pretty much all of our problems with the new constitutional draft. Okay, so that is our intent today. So today is going to be a milestone live. All right, so what did we call this again? I'm going to update the draft on the website. Okay, so we can just update this one. Yeah, too long now have we been discussing our problems. So the time has finally come where we start discussing action steps, things that we can actually do and not rely upon other things to get things done. So we need to bring awareness around the topic. Share the live, tap up the screen. We're going to get started shortly. We're gonna update our draft. I know I've been promising the clickable edition, so it is finally here. So I have to make sure it works with the link. That. Mr. Roy, Lawful, greetings, welcome. We're gonna get started shortly, peeps. Just testing out our link to make sure it works. Then we're gonna get right into it. And I think We are in business. Let's test it out. Yep. There we go. Alright. Now TikTok always have these things popping up. Let's see here. Alright, so apparently, greetings, rebuild and claim. Lawful, welcome. I hope everybody is good on this awesome Sunday. Today is August the 2nd. We are already out of July. Rah, lawful, greetings, welcome, welcome. Today we have some unveiling. Holistic Cosmetics, lawful, greetings, welcome. So, I was testing out that poll option. It doesn't give me full options to give you questions. So, I will mess around with that at a later time. Please share the live, tap up the screen so that TikTok is aware that we're here. And even though we might get people reporting the lives, you know, the interaction helps the algorithm to keep promoting the live. All right. So today we are going to cover a topic that we only mentioned in previous lives, but I have not shared the full draft just yet. And you see, the reason I didn't share the full draft before is because we need to mature to that point, right? Now, let us head over to the computer so you see what I'm talking about. So, let us go back to the main page. For those of you who are just joining, stay tuned. Get your pen and your paper. Make sure you're ready to take notes. All right. Zamor, lawful, greetings, welcome. No man, you're early. We're just getting started. So, step one, we go to voiceofjamaica.com. This has been the website from day one. All right. So, you get to voiceofjamaica.com, you scroll down a little bit, and you click on the new constitution. All right? And here we have the constitutional draft. For those of you, remote tours, lawful, greetings. For those of you who may have been here before, this is the new and updated draft. Okay? It is 99% complete. It's only a very small section that needs linking. So you go to voiceofjamaica.com, you click on New Constitution, and here's the draft. Now, what is the difference between this draft and the other ones? Well, let's take a look. We still have our unanimous Declaration of Independence, which we spoke about in length last time. And here we have our table of contents. Our table of contents have now been updated. So now you can click on any topic and it will take you to the section that you are interested in, right? Instead of you scrolling through the document. But another important thing here is, you see how many pages we have? 2,159 pages. Now you might be asking, why is this thing so long? What did you put in there? And that's a very simple answer. The actual Constitution itself is only 347 pages. The rest of the document consists of the manuals for each level of public service. So the articles stop at 63, as you can see, page 347. And then we have our manuals. Because remember, the last time we spoke, we talked about the reason why we do not want nobody in government to be making laws. We don't want none of them making rules. We don't want none of them doing anything other than the work that we employ them to do. So if we're going to do that, then we have to take away their ability to create policies. And these are what these manuals are. These are policy manuals for public servants. And it covers just about every sector that is majorly important that we have major problems with. So we have the Civil Procedure Manual. See if we can zoom in a little bit. Yeah. We have the Civil Procedure Manual, right, which covers anything within the civil realm. We have Criminal Procedure Manual, the Family Procedure Manual, the Public Peace Service Operations Manual. And the Public Peace Service, by the way, is what we would call our police service. So instead of calling them police, we give them their purposeful name, which is the Public Peace Service. Exactly right. Everything is upgraded. We have the Office of Public Prosecution Operations Manual. We have the Public Integrity Authority Manual, the Judicial Operations Manual. So even the courts, we have taken away their ability, or we will take away their ability to create arbitrary rules that benefit only the judiciary, right? AV Farm Supplies, that is correct. And in case you are not privy of why, it is because if we're going to call ourselves a nation, we need to have our own name. We cannot continue maintaining anything related to the previous colonial structure. All right? So we have the Public Integrity Authority Manual, and this Public Integrity Authority is the body responsible for investigating any kind of public servant complaint. Anything within the public sector where we have complaints, this body would go out and do investigations into any of those sectors. We got the Constitutional Manual of Equitable Jurisdiction. This falls in line with the Judicial Operations Manual, under the same gamut of the law. We have a National Professional Certification Authority. So we would have a single authority that governs competency certifications, right? Here we will have a most favored and highly requested topic. The removal, or how should we say, the abolition of the JP system. This would become the new system that would allow any member of the public to authenticate documents, right? And the manual goes into more detail. The Constitutional Manual of the National Defense Force, right? Our border protection and so forth. Jamaica Health Administration Manual, right? The health sector, the hospitals, the private clinics and all of those, they would have their own rule book. Options, lawful, greetings, welcome. We have the Citizenship and Immigration Administration Manual. We have Customs and Import Administration Manual. We have the National Emergency Authority Manual, the Agricultural Authority Manual, Jury Instruction Manual. Now, this is also a critical portion that was added. Typically, the courts would invent jury instruction based on common law. We are removing that, right? Now it falls under constitutional duty, where anyone going to serve jury duty, they would have to be familiar with what it entails and what the instructions are. This should not be something that is in the judiciary per se, right? So we have that manual. We have the manual of constitutional advocacy. This is a manual of basically representation. If you have a case that you don't want to go through the hassle and you want someone else to present the case for you or defend for you, this would be the manual for that. Then we have the National Compendium of Standard Forms. This entire manual would cover all the forms necessary for any court action. So we would no longer need these custom and secret forms that the attorneys might use, right? Now, a lot of these things are basically just taking away the secrecy behind what should be happening behind any government body, right? We should know exactly what they are doing. We should know exactly what they should be doing. We should know exactly how they are supposed to be doing their duties. That should never be a secret, and we should never need to ask anyone for a policy manual or, to be digging, searching, and asking what exactly they are supposed to be doing. So that is why the draft is so big, right? 2,159 pages. Now, that being said, again, the actual Constitution is only 347 pages. And again, this is also due to the fact that we don't want to leave anything up to chance. We see what happens, right? Whenever we leave any kind of bureaucracy or any kind of public servant or public service body to make any kind of rules, the first thing they do is they empower themselves to do what they feel they want to do, right? Emotions and sometimes other things motivate them to put together things that are questionable sometimes, right? So again, my disclaimer: I am not a lawyer, I am not an attorney, I am not providing legal advice. Anything I say is my own opinions. If you learn something, good for you. I do not provide consultations, and I do not offer any services for hire. Now, one additional disclaimer: the information I share here or the discussions that we have on this channel are not anti-government. We are not planning a government overthrow. We are not planning to combat the government, and we do not support violence in anything that we do. So I want to make that clear, just in case people might disagree with what we are proposing or what we are doing. We are not here to stand in anyone's way. And as I've always said on this channel, never argue with the police or any public servant on the side of the road or anywhere, right? Let them do their duties. We can all disagree, but at the end of the day, you just need to do what you need to do whenever the situation is done, right? So, just want to make that clear in case it was not previously. All right, so like we spoke about before, right? There are several things that cause us grief in this society, and it is largely because of a lack of knowledge. A lack of knowledge makes us suffer. Ignorance is expensive. Let me say that again. Ignorance expensive. You pay for it. You pay with your sweat, your tears, your bank account, everything you pay if you are ignorant to a certain level, especially when it comes to the law. Because we know that attorney fees are not cheap in many instances, right? Many times it is sometimes better to figure it out for yourself than try to go out there trying to hire one attorney, because the other thing is you hire an attorney and you may pay hundreds of thousands of dollars. And when it is all said and done, you might lose a case. Not to say attorneys don't have their place, because they certainly do in society. In this day and age, where many of the laws that we have are colonial based, they have a colonial structure at the very bottom, right? So in that kind of system, an attorney is essential. Otherwise, you're going to have to study up your nose. So attorneys are essential to defend you in many cases. In some cases, they will, get fines reduced, get sentences reduced, be able to present your case properly. And I have never really bashed attorneys, but I don't advertise them either. But as I've always said, if you can't do it for yourself, you have to pay somebody to do it. Right? You can't out there, and even if you feel, say, things are not going right, that not means you have to do it yourself. You have to be competent, right? Anthony, Lawful, greetings. You have to be competent in what you're doing, because it is not a 1, 2, 3 and it done. When it comes to especially anything dealing with criminal law, it is not swift. It is not easy. It is not 1, 2, 3 type thing. And sometimes you make one wrong step or you say one wrong thing and you don't know how to dig yourself out of the hole, right? Sometimes you have to put down the shovel and let the attorney throw you a rope, right? So, Upsetter, yeah man, Lawful, greetings. So, even though I teach you many things on this channel to be aware, I teach you to be more intelligent on certain matters. That, again, yes, it might help you, and it has been helping a lot of people. But that being said, when you're facing, serious criminal charges and you are possibly facing jail time, you don't want to go in there trying things. Traffic tickets and those kind of things are simple enough, where you can, present certain things, you can do certain things, and you get a ticket thrown out. But when you're facing other serious matters, don't think that you can just go in there and say X, Y, Z and the case gets thrown. It doesn't work like that, right? So, that being said, a lot of the things that we experience as Jamaicans, many of us don't agree with it. And I would garner to say most of us do not agree with the legal system. And there is good reason for that. Upsetter says, can the people of Jamaica start a government of their own? No JLP or PNP. Well, that is exactly what we're discussing here. We've already drafted a constitution, and I'm just covering some background information to fill some people in. So for those who are just joining, again, if you want to see the current draft, let us show you how to get there and how to see what we're talking about. So first, you go to voiceofjamaica.com, and this is what you will see. You scroll down a little bit, and the first post will say New Constitution. You click on that, and here you'll have the constitutional draft. So the draft is now complete. You can click on that and it will take you here, right? We have completed the constitutional draft 99%. All right, if you scroll down, well, let us cover the top portion. What do we have here? We have a Declaration of Independence. We're going to cover that shortly. Not every single section, but we're going to cover exactly what we have there. And we have our table of contents, which details what exactly each article is about and If you go on each article, you will see the purpose of why it was instituted in the Constitution. Because, well, let us just finish up this. At the very bottom of the Constitution, we have the procedure manuals for each sector of such a society. Now, this type of constitution would draft a government that would be called a fixed law system. What does that mean? It means that we would not have a parliament. We would not have so-called lawmakers. We would not have a legislature. We would take away that power so that only we, the people, if we see it necessary to create a new law, it must be for our benefit. Not because some bureaucrat in some public office thinks that we should have a new act of parliament or whatever. So the Constitution itself would be the only law within society. So if it is not in the Constitution, it is not law. Right? So that is the way this system is set up in order to protect us, right? And this is not a new concept. You know, as we've done research and we look at other countries, we look at other areas of society, there were other societies doing this, but they were hijacked, right? And the reason they were hijacked is because they left out critical portions of what exactly the society should look like when it was being crafted, right? So we have completed the draft. This is what? From February, March, April, May, June, July, August. So pretty much for the last 6 months, we've been drafting this constitution. We've gotten submissions with suggestions. We've had people on the live suggest different things over the months that we were taking the suggestions. We've had emails, we had, you know, all kind of different avenues of people just pouring in what we should really include in our constitution. And therefore, we have completed that draft. So if we take away the lawmaking ability, we can no longer be sidelined. We can no longer be, I guess you can say, infiltrated as a society, because law is the only thing that permeates through every single sector of society. The law is the only thing that stands above everything else. So this is why we have to make a constitution a fixed law concept, so that only the people would be able to change the constitution by majority vote, rather than a separate institutional body that is actually temporary. And that is what we have today. We have temporary bodies, temporary institutions that sit in secret, and they type up and they put together these acts and these rules and these regulations, and then sometimes they discuss it just before it is passed, but the people have no direct input. The people have no direct way of stopping it. The people have no direct way of supporting it. The people simply becomes victims of those legislations that are passed. And it is actually disturbing when we look at it from a layer removed. When we look at things outside of the system and look inwards, it looks very disturbing, because the people themselves are oblivious to what's going on. They just become victims whenever they violate one of these arbitrary rules. And I say arbitrary. I know, again, these are bold allegations to say a law is arbitrary, or it is just there, you know, without any kind of credibility per se. The reason we say this is because the constitution that we use in Jamaica as a constitution, it is actually an order. It is not a constitution. But anyways, for all intents and purposes, the Constitution of Jamaica, the Order in Council 1962, Section 48, it specifically gives the criteria on what the law can be. If Parliament is going to make a law, it has to meet 3 criteria, or one of the 3, right? Yeah, man, get a law. Thank you. To make law, the Jamaica Constitution Order in Council give 3 criteria. It has to be either for the peace, the order, or the good government of Jamaica. Now, when we look at the legislations that have been passed in Parliament, most of them cannot pass that test. Unquestionably, especially the Road Traffic Act and the regulations, because many of these laws that have been passed, for example, the Road Traffic Act, it has to violate the Charter of Rights that are embedded in the Constitution in order to work. Now, I don't want to go too deep into traffic law today, right? But I'm going to show you something rather interesting, right? If we have a constitution that says, if any law is within conflict of the constitution shall prevail. Kem, lawful, greetings. Right? If the constitution itself declares itself supreme, meaning no other law can be superior to the constitution. If there's a conflict, the constitution wins. So why is it that we don't make constitutional claims? It is because we don't know. The Constitution guarantees us due process of law, and it gives us 12 paragraphs of due process that must be afforded, right? But what has happened is the judiciary has created rules. And if you don't use a specific form, if you don't include specific things, if you don't put certain things in place, and as a matter of fact, even if you follow if you follow all the rules, in some cases, they still will not allow you to file certain cases, like rights violation cases. And even when you do that, and the Constitution gives you that civil right to make a grievance claim to the court, and even when you present all of the evidence, the court is treating those claims as if it is a normal civil claim. You have to prove every single element. Whenever you are claiming damages for these things, you have to show court authority on why you think you are entitled to the damages that you are claiming. And not only that, even when you present it, you have to now verbally deliberate all of that in order to prevail at least on some of the enumerated claims that you bring forth to the Supreme Court. So now it becomes an institution of law, right? Where if you are not a legal professional, all of this go over your head. And if you go out there trying to get a constitutional lawyer, they're gonna beat you over the head with them fees, right? Because that is a specialized area of law. So, you know, there's really a barrier to justice when it comes to these fees and costs. It is not enough to have the evidence and all the details. You have to be able to legally present your case to get what the Constitution guarantees, right? So that needs to be eliminated. All of these hurdles to justice needs to be eliminated. This is why we drafted the manuals. This is why in this Constitution there would be no cost at all to bring forth a claim or to defend a claim in the courts. Because it makes no sense. Why do we say this? Why wouldn't we want fees to be charged for people who might just get up and want to go file a case in court? Sobek, lawful, greetings. Why wouldn't we want to deter people from making frivolous claims? All we have to do is just set penalties. If you bring forth a claim in court and you know that the claim has no merit, the claim is a false allegation, then you face criminal penalties. It's that simple, right? But if we're going to put a barrier in front of justice, that means that most people who are being oppressed, they will have no avenue to go to, right? Because especially if the system itself is the perpetrator, who are you going to complain to? So, well, the constitutional attorneys, they work in different sectors, right? They might work in corporate, they might work in whatever area. But again, if you are going to, and they might even work in criminal law as well, just regular traffic court cases, So they are not, I guess you can say, confined to just the Supreme Court, right? So when we have Afrodub, lawful greetings. When we have a constitution that eliminates this fee structure, why would we eliminate the fees from the court? All right? Reason being, the courts are already funded. Remember, the judges are paid a salary. The clerks are paid a salary. The guards and the bailiffs and everybody are paid a salary already from government funds. The expenses are already paid from the public fund. So why do we need fees again? Where are these fees going? We cannot put a tax on justice. It makes absolutely no sense. So we can't have a fee structure for something that we the people put in place. It don't make any sense unless it is for a public purpose. Okay? So in this new constitution, we have removed all of the fees to bring a claim into court. Not only that, we have an instruction manual. Right now, if you want to bring a case into any court in Jamaica, there are no instructions. There are only rules. So if you have no idea what the legal system is about, you literally have to go in there blindfolded. And in many cases, you cannot enter the court unless you have a case. So now we have a double layer of the creation of incompetence. Because if you can't go and see how the proceedings are supposed to be, and if you ask, let's say you ask the clerk or you ask anyone at the court, they're going to tell you what? They can't give you legal advice. Right? You have to get an attorney or you have to do it yourself. How are you going to do it yourself when there are no procedural instructions on what to do? Even the forms that they make available in the court, they are not only outdated, they are very old. Very old. So now, you're in the dark. If you haven't looked at other jurisdictions, like United Kingdom or Canada or India or some of these other Commonwealth places, right, where they may have, something that you can learn from, because certainly if you look on the websites of the different courts in Jamaica, you will certainly be lost if you're not somewhat legally inclined. If you don't know where to look for or what something is supposed to be or some idea, you're not going to get it. There is no way to know what to do, even if you go look up information and instructions, because all you have is rules. How can you have rules and you don't have instructions? It don't make any sense, right? Imagine living in a country where a traffic ticket is higher than a minimum wage. And that is a great observation. Another important thing that we have done with the Constitution is we have separated the administrative from the criminal. So our public peace service, or what we would call in today's terms the police, they would be taken away from traffic matters, because when we look at the history of what criminal law is, criminal law can never fall under traffic. Traffic, if we're going to say it falls under criminal law, it would have to be something primary before you get to traffic. For example, for something to fall under criminal law, it would have to be first you created a crime or you were involved in a crime. And then the traffic would be secondary. In today's day and age, we have no victim, we have no injured party. As a matter of fact, we don't even have a party. The state is supposed to be impartial. That is what it was created to do. Be an impartial witness to controversy. Now, in today's day and age, it has been transformed, and this is why I said some of these acts are arbitrary. Because in the history of criminal law, you have never had the movement or an activity tied to a right criminalized. Right? But we don't have a party. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about that and why we are removing ourselves from the party system. Okay? So, when we intermingle civil law and create an unknown boundary that we call misdemeanors, right? Where they are saying it is a petty crime or something that is a non-serious crime. It don't make any sense. But because we have not had any kind of power to tell them we don't want this, we don't want this law, we don't want this implemented, we don't have any power to say that, right? We only see and hear say them are right things in a parliament and then it is passed and now it becomes law. So when we have these situations where a civil right starts becoming criminal, right? Now we have a major problem. The police is supposed to only be dealing with criminal matters. So the only way the Road Traffic Act could allow the police to regulate the roads is to turn your right into a privilege. And now you basically say, if you don't do this or don't do that, or if you do this or you do that, it is now a criminal offense. Even though there is no crime. There is no elements of the crime to be met. So, this is why we have to separate the police to make them deal with criminal matters, and we create a completely separate civil body to deal with administrative, so-called traffic matters, right? Because we do have certain dangerous situations when it comes to traffic, right? For example, if we have someone who has a broken brake light, one out of the two, one broken brake light, that is an indication that this individual needs to get that fixed, because if the second brake light goes out, then if you are traveling at night or driving at night and the second light goes out, then nobody will know when you are stopping, right, or slowing down. So that is an obvious situation where you get a warning, you go and you get the problem fixed, and the warning is removed from the system, right? That is how civil law is supposed to work. So if you have a situation, broken mirror, broken glass, broken this, as long as it is not detrimental, right? You are given a chance to go and fix it. We cannot be a society that, starts punishing these things that we can't control. If it is something contemplated, that is different. But when we have things that are out of our control, we have to be given a chance to fix those issues without talking about fees and fines and lock you up and all them something there, right? So that is what we've done with this new constitution. We have separated the police from the Road Regulation Force, RRF. And the Road Regulation Force is simply there for, again, public safety. We've heard this term before, Public safety. But the current laws do not support public safety. What they support is the taxing of individuals for anything that you do that those arbitrary rules deems to be a violation of law, which again, that is a violation of our basic rights. Our basic right to move from point A to point B is now turned into a crime for something that we can't control. For example, a missing lug nut. One missing lug nut is not a safety issue. A missing lug nut cannot be a safety issue. You have 5 to 7 lug nuts on each wheel. So, one missing lug nut cannot be a safety issue. 2 missing lug nuts cannot be a safety issue. That is something for a warning. You issue a warning. But the system is not set up like that. The system is set up to punish you for things out of your control. Right? So, regardless of how we want to look at it, Rai said, yes, it is, sir. Now, again, if you speak to any mechanic, a matter of fact, let's not even go into theories. Speaking to people. If you take off 2 lug nuts off a car, what happens? What happens to the wheel? What happens to the car? What happens? Has there been any studies done? Has there been any data? Is there any tests? What do we have to say? Yes, this is a safety hazard and it can cause accidents, it can cause damage, it can cause unaliving. What do we have to show to say, yes, this is a safety issue? Right? If evidence is required for everything else, right? Evidence is required for everything else. How comes when they're making these laws, they don't have to provide any evidence? John says, why do you think they make us use 5 nuts? It is what comes with the car in order to make sure that it is compliant with international standards. Did you know that? Anyways, we're not going to go too far into that. But again, we should be making decisions based on evidence and data. We should not have arbitrary rules of law. Right? And all right, let us say it is true. Let us say having 1 or 2 lug nuts missing is a safety hazard. Can everybody driving a car fix their own car? How would anyone know that a lug nut is missing unless they go to a tire shop or if they go to a mechanic shop? Do we walk around the car every morning before we leave and check to see if the lug nut missing? How many people do that? How many people walk around and check? Alright, Jamaica love, we're gonna bring you up. How many people walk around their car and check them lug nut, them check them what kind of check you do? Jamaica love, lawful, greetings.
Greetings.
Yeah man, what go on?
But there, well, that's the thing, appreciate the bridging now with him knowledge and I'm always push you in the right direction, and want to support him thing.
Zane. Okay, I thought you wanted to come up. I saw you come up.
No, I did watch a live and then I put on the phone and when I come back, I see it vibrate and it tell like press to join. So I press to join and I realize I come for the live. So yeah.
Okay. All right, big up yourself.
All right, my brother.
Yeah man, cool. Let's see. John says, all right, let's go back up. Bro, they set the system to bring down the working class of people. Again, it would appear so, because how are we getting penalized without getting a chance to fix our problems? And problems that we don't even know. John says, lug nut don't fall off, bro. John, I think that is an opinionated response, right? I have seen lug nuts on previous cars that I've owned loosen. They have never come off the car per se, but lug nuts have been loose. I have seen lug nuts loose. So if the lug nut can be loose, it can come off. Again, many different situations how that can happen. Oil and water. Sir, you wash the car so you will see it. Rai says, sir, you wash the car so you will see it. How is that true? How many people wash their car? You know how much people just drive them car, go somewhere, and somebody wash the car, you pay them and you be on your way? Again, that is partially true, but you can't say that for everybody, right? We have to be objective here. What about the majority of persons? What about women? Who them man wash them car all the time? The man probably never wash wheel, right? And just wash the body of the car. Sometimes the same mechanics forget to tighten the nut and it falls off. Exactly. And if you don't get it brought to your attention, you don't see it, right? Same like how you see that your tire is flat. Right. Come on. That is... You're equating a flat tire to a missing lug nut? Come on. That is way out of the ballpark. Okay. Right, you only do checks like that with commercial trucks. Yeah, a lot of things that are regulated. You know, you do certain checks. Or if you're privy, you check your aisle, you know, you go around and you do certain checks. But a regular individual not check them something there. If you're traveling at night and a light blow, why do you do sleep there? Oh, what do you do? Sleep there? Exactly. I don't wash my car and I've seen lug nut fall off before. Exactly. If it can come off, it means you need a lug nut for mitigation. Alright, Hoover Blair, I'm gonna bring you up. So you want to come up? Alright. So you gotta tell me pull off my hubcap to check if I'm missing a lug. Right.
Yes. Good evening.
Mr. Hoover, lawful greetings, welcome.
Yes, I just wanted to make a point because at times people talk out of ignorances. Right? I have a car and I went to tire shop and you know the port plug they use to tighten it. Sometimes I don't tighten it, you know. I went one time and I changed a tire. And when I changed the tire, I went back to work. It's the following morning I found that 2 of the nuts didn't tighten proper on the back off, and the other 3 were slack. I have to use the anting and tighten them. So when people sit and talk, a lot of hypocrisy, they don't know what they're saying. You need to know. You understand? Because when you go to the tire shop, let's say your work, you go change that tire and go to the tire shop. That port logo they use, not tighten, I can tell you. I'm evidence with that. Right. It's not tightening properly. And when you drive, it will just back off and you know you look through. I'm going to buy a lug to put on for my carriage and use the money and tighten it proper. And drop on the others because they didn't tighten proper either. So when people sit, they just talk out, they just talk a lot of crap. But I'm telling you, with what's going on in our country, boy, I tell you, when you look at the roads, if people look my talk about the car look no back off that easy. You know the rough road, the bad road can cause those look to back off. I want to know that. Those bad roads by dropping in those potholes, getting the front end weak, licking out the rubbers on the front end can affect the studs that the nuts goes on to, and they need to know that they need to educate themselves. That's why a lot of people just get up and run with this nonsense and this because they have lack of experience. You understand? So
Right.
that's why when man like you come on the line, they have to sit and listen and stop comment those latter hypocritical acts and things. Learn, because you are educating them. From my perspective, you are educating them, and they need to listen and learn and stop believe in politics and believe in man. I God if you believe in her. The Bible says the arms are fresh with fear of just one. Because to what I'm seeing coming on here, when you want to put laws into place, you have to put everything in place now. Proper roads, proper journeys, everything. That's what, if a man go fix him cars and go back in that road, oh God Almighty, have conscience upon people. It rough all over with everybody. A man spend 30,000 put doing car front end and set up back. By a week, you only count, the only car parts to get genuine parts final is under another parts. And the Toyota can get substitute parts for it. And the substitute parts going bad road and something. No time it leak out. The bar giant we gone. The control and rubber we gone. The control and we gone. So when people sit and talk those like a hypocrisy, they have to look at the road conditions in Jamaica. Right? We go carry my car got fountain, we don't change up, we plate the fountain, we don't press out the control arm rubber, change off everything. It don't make no sense. We go back in this in this the poor roads with it. It go ruin it, it go ruin it. So I'm gonna end up getting all 300 tickets with will cost much $1,000 and my car still in bad shape because of the poor condition of the road, and that is what they're not taking into condition into condition. The poor state of the road. The poor
Right.
drivers, they want to know how they manage with the road. I'm seeing the road stay. Sometimes trust me, father. Listen, go on friend and I'm like for the car because the older car bottom I touch. I'm trying my best to set it. I said, look, you hold the car bottom I touch. I muffle everything. I put on the flange pan and go and carry the office and ice it up and rope and the muffler underneath it because whole things been up under there. Because of the road, I'm scared no drop low, a hardening rim upon it. But what how the road sink and sit, okay, and you set the car, the bottom going touch. I don't
Right.
say the bottom touch. This gonna be a wear and tear, no cost something if you move. It can
Yeah.
damage all the transmission and all that. And that the people them needs to know that, trust me, when I'm put on these harsh penalties on motorists, they have to put in consideration that the roads is the contributing to the people cars. There's factor that
Exactly.
contribute to the running down of people cars because of the poor condition of the road and those poor men have travel. Imagine a taxi man every day he run on the road, and have to make multiple trips, going down in those potholes and licking up under there every day. It must have loosened, man. Come on. It
Of
must have
course.
loosened. It must contribute factors to making the cars become a defective car. Must. So when people sit and sending some bull under the platform and things, and man must know. Me go change my tire. I never know say my family looks them pan the car, and the man me get up. I look pan and me see say 2 gone and the other same slack. You understand? As a friend of mine tell me say, hey, if me change the tire and make the man inside at the porthole, it not tighten it proper. So people need to learn. When you're talking to them with your experience and from your perspective, they feel listen and learn. And if they run and put like a hypocrisy and a chat foolishness, they are to learn. That's why enough people are learning because why they don't listen. They
Right.
have no knowledge and they don't listen to people who are knowledgeable, are prof in those fields. They just run and do things. That's why they make wrong decisions at times, and blame people and not blame themselves because they are the one that makes wrong decisions. They don't read, they don't look find right things and read properly and understand. They don't understand the act. They just roll the narrative and say this and that can, this and that can, that. This is too much. I'm telling you, this is too much on motorists in Jamaica. And the roads is the main fact that cause these vehicles to go defective. And I'll always keep on saying this. The roads in Jamaica is the cause for the vehicle to be defective if there are defective vehicles on the road, because you can't have these roads of people that run daily.
Yeah. So I got touch upon that shortly on what
I'm
exactly
coming with probably somebody want to come give something else, but trust me, when we see people in the commenting a lot of pocket hypocrisy, they must learn, man. Just be quiet and learn. Let people who have experience and have been there, done that, talk and learn from them. Because trust me, this is so terrible for the motorists. I feel for the poor motorists. Trust me, man. With this ticket, one hand. If you have a poor steering, you don't need two hands for put your hand on the poor steering. A finger can direct the poor steering. So.
Right.
Well, you put two hands, you're going to wrap up yourself and do one and you're gone. You're gone. Poor steering, for poor steering to work right. You don't need no two hands on it.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is a learner's how different. This is a learner's how different. But I'm on a drive for years. Come on, man. Just need to broke up your seat. You can't use your finger. Support steering and poor steering. You can't use your finger and do everything. And that them need to know. Enough of them don't know that.
Right.
Enough of them don't know that. Power steering, you just need to you just barely touch it on the ground, touch it so you can't use your finger and deal with it.
Right.
All right, God bless it. Even go on the platform and listen. Yes, sir. Blessing.
Yeah,
Want to just educate them and want the people them listen and learn because they need to learn.
Yeah, man. Big up yourself. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we got Forbes. You're up. Greetings.
Well, I just listen, you know, but what me want to know before me even make certain comment, what the main topic is about? Is it about the ticketing system or the type of penalties they might put out there for certain road violations?
None of the above, you know. We're actually over here discussing a new constitution that we have crafted. And we're talking about what changed from what we know to what we actually implement in the new constitution. So it was actually a contrast and compare.
Okay. Because my biggest I'm gonna say no, my biggest factor when it come on to all of these rules and regulations, you know, is that you see we Jamaicans we they tend to live in the moment. Saying this to say that Jamaica, remember, you know, we run the country. Not
No,
the
we
Prime
don't.
Minister. It's we the people that run the country. No, are we let me tell you why I say we run the country. Because remember, you know, if we say we want you to be head of the country, are we go put it there if we want, if we come in, are we in charge to take it down? But what people fear to remember is when they are choosing their leaders, what me as a young man, what me realize over the years is that people vote for what them see in the moment. So what me realize, you see, throughout campaigning of both parties, when them put up with certain slackness throughout campaign, them feel say, okay, when we vote for this party or that party, after all is said and done, we can do the same slackness and get away with it. And a lot of persons fear to understand say we are living in one time apart now. If you look on the country, it's close. Well, we're close to government election, no? We're close or further away from it.
Local government election. I think we're closer to
Yeah.
it. No, but hold on.
All right.
Hold on before you continue. Because I think it sounds like you are either new here and you're not necessarily understanding the purpose of the platform. We don't talk about anything political over here.
Oh, all right. All right. Not all right. Let me get to the point where I try to get at. Why me say well, Jamaicans stay, how them stay. Reason being, the point where I try to get to is that you see now, for example, campaigning now, because we want to win, we go allow certain things to bypass. For example, road traffic violations. For example, a person they simple hanging their hands outside of a vehicle, the people them sitting on the vehicle window and all them something there. When it's close to those time like those, what I say now, the reckless motorcyclists, the reckless drivers on the road, when them a campaign and I have them fun, if you say, okay, I want to be upfront when the time comes, there's no one there to reinforce and say, okay, even though we're campaigning, let's do it in a safe manner, let's do it in a respectable manner. So you have the same man out there who is supposed to maintain certain traffic um act and all them something there. And the same man who have to allow the reckless motorcyclists to do them craziness on the road, motorists to do them craziness on the road. And then tomorrow now, when campaigning done and fun done now, and you try to do the same thing tomorrow, you get 10, 15 ticket for your foolishness what you do. You blame you can't blame the government and yourself, you have to blame it because you vote for it.
But let me hold on now. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What power does the people have in the lawmaking process?
All right. You see, where the lawmaking process, the people, the power what the people them have, if you say, all right, we are going to stand up for this and follow certain protocols or certain laws and uphold with it, it have to just it go be a time when they go just be mandatory. Once what I say no, once I don't know what cause harm to nobody. Cause for example, them say seat belt.
Mm-hmm.
Remember you all when you drive comfortable without your seat, more comfortable without your seat belt.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know say if you go to a road this now, it can cost you $2,000. For you go in your car and start it, the first thing you do is go to a draw for your seat belt. Not because you force yourself to, because you know why go cost if you know do the right thing.
So basically what you're saying is because of the threat of either a fine, which is in the form of a ticket, or you might go to jail, that is why you wear the seatbelt. So it is coercion. It is not
No,
a free will
no,
type of thing.
not. And I said that's the reason why you wear it, But it's just a tickling reminder. Say, hey, remember, say if me know. But after a while, you get used to it.
Right.
Cause
You
you
get
have persons who genuinely not like wear seatbelt, But
but
because they,
but
all
my
right,
question
it a
is
come like war.
hold on. My question was, what power does the people have in the lawmaking process? Go off on too many tangents. Let's stick to that one question.
What power? What I say? What power does the people what people have in the lawmaking?
Process, yes. Let's say a new act is going to be proposed or crafted and go through parliament and all of that. What power does the people have in any of that?
Well, me not sure what power people have in it, but at the end of the day, me feel say if the people not agree with it, it's up to the people and we get the person who put in the law to review whatever them put in.
How?
Well, then go say the right way is to write to the.
All right, I don't want us to draw at straws here because we have quite a bit to cover on the draft. So, big up yourself. Thank you for coming up. But I think we're going too far off topic now because I really want to cover some of the other things that we have in the constitutional draft. But I think these topics are going too far away from what we actually need to discuss.
Okay, all right,
Yeah, man. Big up yourself. Thanks for coming up.
all right, cool.
All right, we're gonna entertain three more questions. Let's see if those who wanted to come up are still here. All right, Randon is gone. Got EAW Construction, you're up if you're still there. All right. Next Tours. Nixon Tours, you're up. Nixon Tours, you're up. Greetings. Hello. All right, Nixon Tours not ready. All right. I got Patrick. You're up next. Patrick Lawful, greetings.
Greeting. Would I like to ask you a question pertaining to the civil and the criminal law? You see, when time you're being picked up by a police for traffic violation, and you spend 2 weeks in a lockup or 3 weeks, do it credited to the fine, or it is credited to the 2 weeks or the 3 weeks? It's, because you're being confined, so that is a part of a penalty.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're being locked up for 1, 2, 3 weeks, and you go in front of the judge, it's not being credited most of the time. They do not consider it a credit or a confinement. Then you're just being detained. So
Well,
it's like
you have to understand what's going on first. And if you don't have an attorney, then most likely you don't know exactly what to say or what to do to get that time, as as they would call it, time served, or they would credited towards whatever penalty you were supposed to get if you are convicted.
No, but it's a traffic fine where most of my experience, like a $30,000 or 10 days, and you do more than the 10 days. Now you do all 2 weeks. So the equivalent of the $30,000 or 10 days. It's supposed to be credited for the $30,000.
Well, that's not how it works, And if all right, let's say for example, let us play devil's advocate. Again, I can't give legal advice. I can only say if I was in the position, what I would possibly consider. Right? So let's say it is a case where, for whatever reason, it's a traffic fine. Are we talking about a bench warrant where they hold you for a period of time, then you bring it before the court? Are we talking about they give you a $30,000 fine and you don't have the money, so them lock you up?
Yeah, exactly. No, okay. you already do 1, 2 weeks already pertaining to going back and forth to the in front of the judge.
No, that is different from confinement.
Okay.
The going back and forth with the court, that is what you call the normal course of due process.
Due process.
Right. So that cannot be credited unless it can be proven that the charge was invalid. Then you can ask for your costs and fees.
Okay then.
Right.
All right. Thank you then. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Big up. All right. So we can only take one more. Let's see. All right, Buster, you're up. Lawful, greetings, Buster.
Yeah, Farai.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I just there listening and the first me try join something, And that me I try say to himself, why you get locked up for 2 weeks for just a traffic offense? Me not understand that. Being a man in the streets I run taxi for like 20 years.
Yeah.
I just couple months me come out of the taxi field and say me go in the hills, try something different for a while. But a lot of man me and say enough things about the taxi thing women understand. I always watch a thing force me a join a thing. Enough time I rate how you say things to them, but why you get locked up for 2 weeks for a traffic offense? You don't
Right.
have the money when them charge you. That me understand, me I try to find out.
Right.
Why you get locked up for 2 weeks? Cause traffic
Yeah.
offense, I pay and leave.
Right.
Cause you can't find thing unless you do something rare out of the lot where me can say. Me not judge, me not lie, me not jury, but there's a thing in the street. Unless you do something wicked like you crash, you this, you that, you go to get an extra charge and they're gonna charge you like a confinement. But every ticket, when it reach warrant, my brother, don't you go there and you pay whatever the judge say and you leave.
Right.
You understand me? So I understand when I say spend 2 weeks and all these things, I can't sit through it.
Yeah, that's why I mean I ask those questions because it never
Me
really makes sense.
realize,
You know.
I realize. You see me? Me realize these things. You see me? I know what I'm going on. I mean, I tell you something.
Yeah.
My brother, I'm gonna say something openly because I'm up on this thing. No disrespect, no abusive, nothing. But you see, anytime we, as the, the public side of the motorism, that is mean like the coaster buses, the buses and the taxis. You know, anytime we come together as one and sit down with a man like you, the system can't do what I'm doing right now.
Absolutely not.
You think me I say wrong? Just tell me no. Just tell me yes, me I say wrong.
No, sir.
All right, now I say it to you. Me know the system like just after the Ivan and Dean them storm time. At that time, I come to the system, right? You say when name Mr. Little, we come hear about him, and he come like say, the man them afraid to go to Mr. Little, the whole with us, because sit down with Mr. Little cars. Him know the system even before the eye, what me see now. He was the greatest man towards taxis. He's a lawyer. I don't know if him pass or, but I don't feel like so. So you see, even Father Edgerton Newman, me know him like that. Me one of him first people who come put on money up at Duke Street under the Guango tree for taxi association before the association come. And to realize the things are steep. Me never busy doing me the left game, all my Jews and them things. Me never busy about that. Enough time I came on my road and I tell him that. And him just laugh. So I realize certain things. But if we as motoring public, which is the general public from the PPV side, you see, anytime we stand up for this, the government cannot do public this in a Jamaica. Because what going on right in brother, no way, you know. Left, right, and center in the right, you know. And all we do is converse and talk amongst ourselves. And we now decide so one day we'll go up a transport ministry or the transport minister there. Transport authority can't help you, know. And them now gonna help you, know, because them commander come from up there somewhere, brother. So you see that brother and him, Mr. Vaz now, yeah, we're coming with certain things we are beat with bad and wicked. I'm not gonna say it wrong. I'm not say it lie, and everybody know. Him for understand, say, yo, come on, man. Look back in yourself, man. I mean, I go further than that. Since I'm going to go political, Father say I got no please the way I do now to the public of Jamaica as a transport minister. I'm going to say it loud. I politicize it upon them. Edward Siaga no please with the Sir Darrell Vaz I do right now to transport. Because, brother, remember this after JS, I youth, you know. I 83 in high school, you know. Maybe I have nothing on paper to show them, but I 83 in high school. And I basically them time the JO start mash up. JOS. Chin and Millwood with Ivan. I saw them the name, the brother from out of East Kingston them come from, and the brother from Portmore. With them the government would have big case on that time because them they be the franchise and whatever they are going on them time there. You see me? And if the government didn't even allow them, maybe the yellow bus system would be better off now. I swear. Because the system when them have the this can be better off than this. I don't know if you see it my way. But it was more better off than this. No care what them that talk about. Them just keep politicizing the thing. Both government keep politicizing the things that we, the poor people, have to survive out of, which is not right, my brother.
Right, and that is why, again, we put these things together, and this is what we call the awareness phase, where not only the people them who directly affected right now, but also the people them who are
the affection.
I claim so then they're on the outside, but them not really they're on the outside.
The people who are set the affection, brother.
Right.
They might get affected too. Be
Right.
honest, brother. Me, you know that. They might get affected too. You see me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So none of this are not really political per se because
No, that's
it
why me
affects
use
everybody.
the word. That's why me use the word, say, the politicize. You hear me
Right.
not go political with it, we use politicize. So
Right.
don't politicize the thing with people like me where kind of know politics. So it me feel like where I do, I come through politics. Me don't want to hear that. This is not a politics business. This is the people business.
Yeah, no, none of what me I do. No part of politics.
Yeah,
No
the
part of
people
politics.
business. Yeah, me tell you,
Right.
say, I really see a thing, but the first, me not join them thing. Honestly, I have never done what me do today. I speak to someone like this and I have never done it, and enough of them I could have go on.
Yeah.
Believe me, because enough of them system watch them thing, I'm a comment on them thing, and you know, just like that, I come comment on your thing enough time. Enough
See?
time I just laugh when you think, enough time I see a drop of fire where burn them hot, you know. The way it hot, it come like a water and then foot bottom. Yeah, I laugh. It don't blaze, but when them stand up, them feel the heat run right through them. It's a different type of fire than the one that's a blaze and yellow up the way I burn smoke. No people don't
Right.
understand when we say the fire, because I rasta, you know. When we say fire is a different thing, you know. A
Right.
cleanse and purge we deal with. We not deal with burn up wood and bush out of all that stuff.
Right.
You see me, sir? The system politicize the thing privately against us. Yeah, and them for realize say, a lot of us see it that way.
Exactly.
So we maybe have to go to Steam and just get rid of them and deal with this system of our own and make people feel good somehow. I don't know how we have to do it, but we have to find ways to do it. Because the people
Yeah.
will accept us, my brother.
Well, let me clarify something here.
Give them.
Right? We not get rid of nobody.
No.
Right? So make sure I say we kind of keep the thing balanced. So
Yeah.
what we are doing is just for we. Let us put it
Yeah,
that
my
way
get
now.
rid of, all right, my get rid of is not politicized. It's just the system of transport system out of work for the people of Jamaica now. Because even the big man I feel it now. The man who have 10 truck out there feel it. Wicked I know.
Right.
Me not gonna lie. The man who have one car I feel it. The man who have work for a man I feel it. The man who have one little bus I feel it. The man who have one green plate to draw two farmer I feel it. Everything in a motor I feel it, brother. But yet still, they bring in 10, 20, 30,000 motor vehicle every year and sell us.
Right.
And we go take them off of the wharf and drive them on the streets and face all these problems. So what we are gonna do, what we can do to make them understand. So listen, if we spend 300 billion, we do know in a 5 years, there's nothing one can do out of that for us. Come on, man.
Well, let
You
us
understand?
let us dig a little bit deeper in the constitutional draft so that we can get a
Jaja.
better idea on what we can
You see the
do.
mind frame where I come from.
Yeah, man.
Mind
Yeah, man.
frame and I just driving on the streets. It's deeper than that, brother.
Right.
It's way deeper than just drive a road and feel like you're bumping a pothole. And that's my thing, the man.
Right.
Things are put in place now where going to hurt my grandpitney.
Exactly.
And she a 3-year-old.
Well, not enough we watch, if
That is what we don't need.
yeah,
That
once we put
exactly
our thing
what
in
we
place.
don't need. And our watch our grandpitney them not supposed to come face where we are our pitney are face like our parents and grandparents did face, and we come face that with them. We need to make a change. And then
Absolutely.
a politicize and then a politics change. Change out of anything where we feel like this not right. We sort of can sit down with some people and say this not right and that not right, and then realize say we are what this and a you. So if we say one big stone there is and it slip when the rain will fall, and that we say, cause you know
Right.
what there. You understand me, brother? So
Exactly.
them games me I talk about a Sergi. Bless
Yeah, man.
yourself, man. Holy
Yeah, man. Big up
patas.
yourself. Thanks for joining
Holy,
again.
holy,
Good.
holy.
Yeah. All right, peeps. Yeah, man. Thank you for the input, everyone that came up so far. We're gonna have another question and answer within the next hour or so. But let me let me get into some of the details regarding some of the solutions to the problems that we have, right? I see a comment from John. Wait there. John say, would you go to a foreign country and break its laws? And you see, John has been making some comments, and I am not an individual to call people names and to shame anyone. But it is clear that many of these comments are just to provoke a response, right? What we're talking about over here are solutions. Solutions to the problems that we face, and it's something where we are going to talk about. And it's something where we are going to sit down and say, yo, you know, say this wrong and that wrong and this and that. No. No. We need to come up with our own solutions. Because, and this is why I asked the individual earlier. Zine? I asked the individual earlier, what effect does the people of Jamaica have on the lawmaking process? Because if we don't have any effect at all upon the law and how the law is being put into place, then how can we say that we are a free nation? How can we control something that is oppressing us if we can't control the tools them that they're using? So, like I've said many times, we are not here to combat the government. We're not here for violence. We're not here to go cause any disruption. If we are a free people, then that means that we are free to disconnect any kind of political or religious bond that we have with any institution. And we can go ahead and create our own. What are we talking about? Right? Remember, you know, Jamaica never had a declaration of independence. Let me rephrase that. Jamaica independent. We the people were upon the island. We not independent. Because independence was never about us. It was always about the corporate name. So, in order for us to declare anything, we have to create that. Niket say the live no stop freeze. Anybody else having a problem with the live? All right, cool. We the people have never declared independence. We the people have never declared that we are free and we want this that we are creating. We have never separated ourselves from the political bonds that have been dragging us left and right. For how long now? So this is why this is so important. Because if we don't publicly announce and publicly declare and publicly show that we don't want this system anymore, if we don't want this system anymore, it is not enough to go march and to picket and to ask and to petition and to send letters and to send all kind of written documents to those who have no obligation to listen or to do anything that we say. All right? Ghetto Law, I have never seen him on the platform before, but maybe he has been in the shadows. He says, it's madness to create a constitution without the citizens' input. Now, which one are you talking about? You're talking about the one from 1962, or you're talking about the one that we have currently, which we showed earlier how you can access. clear up your language, the ghetto law. What are you talking about? So, this constitution, right? When we talk about solutions, that is what we have infused in this constitution, right? First and foremost, none of us asked for a road traffic law. None of us asked for these driver's license and commercial regulations that not only tax us, not only charge a fee, but actively siphon money out of everybody's pocket. Ghetto law, the constitution that the government is talking about, that has nothing to do with what we're doing here. Okay? This constitution that you are looking at is what people have suggested, submitted opinions and so forth. Let me give you an example of what we're talking about. You see, when we had the constitutional drafting sessions over the past 6 months, if you go on the site, voiceofjamaica.com, let us go back to the homepage so we can show what we're talking about. This is voiceofjamaica.com, right? Now, if you scroll down and you click on New Constitution, right here, and you scroll down, you will see some of the input that people have made to assist in the drafting of this new constitution that we have over here. So, we not talk about what government do, because government never consult with the people. We have the record them for sure. You see it there? There may have submissions from people who've been joining the lives. People who see it fit to say, we want this in the constitution. We want to draft this together. We want to add this. We want to add that. See them there? See them there still a scroll. You see them? So, are we the people create that constitution where they over here so? This not have nothing to do with what going on in a parliament. See? So, with all of them a suggestion here, it is what has crafted and the lives. Now, if you scroll down, you keep scrolling, you know. Here, you can see, each time we come live, these are the replays. So you can literally go back and hear what we did a talk about. You can go back and see what we did a suggest and a talk about and a draft and a go over. Each time we have built the constitution, this are the public record for sure what we did a do. See? So, this I know somebody in the dark create something and come throw it in everybody's face. No. This is everybody come together and we take our time and we build and we build and we build until we have what we now call the constitutional draft. See? So, this is our Declaration of Independence. As a people, you notice? It have the word people in it. And if you notice, we create a new name. We change the spelling so that this a fiwi. We not use nobody colonial thing. You see me? So, with a Declaration of Independence like this, we are list out all of the problems them we have. These are them are the reason, 27 reasons why we don't want to have nothing to do with the current system where they're in place. See? So, when we talk about separation, from a system, it is not just we get up and we're tired. No. When we look back in our history, everybody can see why we take ourselves from the oppression. That is why we draw up something like this. Because you see in our history, when you go back and look at other nations, when you go back and look at other nations, you can see why them declare themselves free, why them create them government, why them create a new country, why them create a new nation. Zane? All right, Stephen, I'm gonna bring you up so you can say a few words.
Good night, my brother. Blessed.
Lawful, greetings.
You know what? I may not know much about the history, but I said to myself that these days I realize a lot of things created on TikTok, social media, but in real life, in the physical, we're not coming forward face to face and stand up as a nation. Because when I look at it, if you trace the history of the heroes, they didn't only speak, they comes out in numbers and unite against the oppression. So we talk and we do all these things behind the phone screen and not coming out physically. Not to war, not to light fire, but to come out as a nation. Just like how we're coming out to vote whenever there's time to vote. I think it will send forth a signal, you know. I believe that, because I'm not saying we can't speak on the phone or and behind social media, but comes out, man, comes out, come out. Just like how Marvin would have initiate something and come out. You know, the nation need to come out. I remember
Yes, but
back then when I was a child and I heard about the whole thing about Bustamante step out as an opposition with people behind him to show that he is against injustice, for example. As I said
okay.
before, you don't have to light fire, you don't have to burn down building or anything, but just come out as a nation. You know, it's not about party or PNP or JLP, it's not about the people, about the care of the people. Your children coming in the future, your grandchildren, and just to come out and stand up as a nation, not only for us to speak behind the phone screen and not coming up. Because if I were going down to Average, and I listen to certain things going on social media, when I go down there, it's like not life as usual. Everything just go calm and everything just continue. Crime, rape, corruption, everything just continue just the same. Nothing no change. Because what? We only stay behind the screen and we speak, but we're not coming out in numbers.
So
And those people who are up there, the elites, they must laugh and say, you have to pay chat in the Jamaica. You realize, Haitian take it in a different level, but they unite. America, if there's a gas issue, they unite. But Jamaicans, we only talk. That's a harsh reality. The harsh facts I'm talking. We only talk.
So, question for you.
Yeah, man.
So, are you associating that with what we're doing over here?
Associates, as in what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying, generally speaking, majority of these things are being said. What we want to do, what we want.
No.
But we're not coming up.
No, I'm not talking in general. I'm saying, my question is, are you associating that with what we're doing over here?
That as in what I've just said a while ago.
Yeah.
What I would say basically, let me put it this way. Every time something come up, like say for example, I don't know if your thing's a new thing. How long your thing has been come on stream? Organization created?
We've been drafting the Constitution for 6 months.
Oh, for 6 months. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Anyhow, may put you make it escape. But going forward, I hope say no come out. We all come out. Not you, but we all come out.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking out. I'm looking for. I don't want to be like, put this way. Let us not be like politicians, like promise the people this and promise the people that, and as time goes by, it just sweep under the rug and nobody don't hear anything about it.
So have you ever been on this live before, or
No. You say I think I scrolled past it one at a time.
okay? So here's what happened.
You ask me. Make like you touch on that. If I've ever been on this live before, I scrolled past. I think I don't remember. But since you guys have been on stream, what are the changes you guys have created? Any changes as manifested?
I think the foundation that you come from You don't know exactly what we're doing over here, but it looks like from your perspective, you might be saying this no look any different from someone just criticizing the system and just talking and putting things together in the background. Am I correct?
Even if I speak like that, that's what I hope to happen. Not to stay behind the screen.
Right, but all right. You see, because you haven't been here before, you haven't gotten any of the foundational material.
So let's say I will consider myself
But hold
ignorant
on.
of what's going on. Go ahead.
No, man, but hold on. But we like when people come on and you voice your opinion, and if it is on the same subject matter, we can continue. But if not, because many people come on and they don't know exactly what we're saying or what we're doing, because it might sound like something, but it is not. But let me just give you a few words. In any system that anyone is putting together, you cannot go out there creating awareness without solutions. It's not going to work. Because if anyone goes out and march, you go out and picket, you put petitions together, any of those things, what happens at the end? What happens after a march? Does anything change?
It all depends on what they march about, what the objective about.
No, man, it don't matter. Pick one. Give me an example.
Well, I can't give example, to be honest.
All right.
Because maybe really see no changes going on.
Exactly. So we don't take that approach because we don't have any evidence of it working. Right?
Okay.
So we must first educate ourselves.
The only thing I would say, if I've seen, maybe I haven't seen it physically, but based on history, whatever happened way back in this 18th century has happened and it works for them. That's why we are free today. And we're not under the slavery and the mindset of the slavery same way.
Well, that is subjective. However, what I'm saying is that if we don't have a foundation to do something in conjunction, I'm not even going to say marching. I'm going to say becoming a group that spreads awareness of something is different from just marching and being, expressive about it.
You have to have awareness. You have to have all these things planned out. Make it what I say still.
So it is the knowledge that comes first. That is what we're doing.
Yeah. You're right, man. You're right.
Right. So now that we have built,
I'm just hoping, Go ahead.
now that we have built a constitution,
Yeah.
we are now bringing awareness about what would change when this constitution go into play.
Okay. And secondly, which I like that. Secondly, you guys, for example, do you collaborate with other person with the same mindsets? That would be that. I think that unity would be helpful.
Yes, there are others who will be spreading the message.
Because I know this particular guy. I really admire him, and and we can see. But sometimes you need an extra hand to help bear the burden, an extra shoulder to keep pushing the load up the hill. Like yourself, other persons, person with good intentions. You know what I'm saying?
You will see when the time comes.
Man. And I hope for that,
Yeah, man. But yeah, man. Thanks for coming up. We appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Respect, my brother. God bless you, man.
Respect.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. So, again, people, for those of you who tune in, this is not political. We are not here to ask the government for anything. We are not standing in the way of the government. We are not here to beg and plead and all of those things. If we want to be a force for ourselves, then that is exactly what we're doing. All we're doing is just shifting the focus, right? We don't. Here's the thing. Let's say, I'll give you an analogy. Let's say we are all on a playing field, all away, right? And the playing field have one fence around it, right? From we're born in the playing field with it. We don't know what the outside. And then somebody, I say, but wait, we have to depend upon the master to give us food. Why don't we go out and go see if we can fend for food for ourselves? Right? Now, the master not stop you from go outside, you know. But inside of the field, you have food, you have water, you have shelter. Right? Which one do you prefer? You want to stay in the basket, even though you're not comfortable, even though it will beat you over the head, even though you have rules when it benefit you, but them say after your own good? Or would you rather go outside of the fence and say, here we go on, make we set up for one camp. Make the master stay with him big field, and we set up for one camp. And when the people them see, say it is beneficial, them can decide if they want to stay in a master camp or if they want them own. It's that simple. So when we have a situation like what we're in, where we have laws that are oppressive, when we say oppressive, we mean that we have rights and they are clearly declared, but they are not respected and they are not upheld, right? So now, when we get violated, the only option we have is to go to the same violators to ask for monetary damages, because you can't fix pain, you can't get back your life when time them lock you up, you can't get the time back, and in many cases them not gonna pay you. You can't tell them to not do it. You can't decide what is supposed to be a rule or regulation and what is not. So how is it different from slavery? How is what is going on different from slavery? You don't have no say in the country how it is run. None at all. The only thing that can happen is when you have something egregious happen, something so bad that the people then just cry out, you will have one little step. If you say, all right, make we see how we can fix that little situation. We're not going to fix the whole problem. We're just going to fix one little part of the situation that is pertaining to that specific matter. And everything else have to go on the same way. How is that different from slavery? We don't have no say. All we do, many of us get up and go out there and you vote for the two options I put in front of you. When is that going to stop? The answer is that can only stop whenever we have something new. Right? So we have to start somewhere. So now that we have our constitutional draft, right? We have to declare our independence. Right? Jamaica has always been a colonial country. That is the name that they have chosen. That is the name they have been using. That is the name that they use to invest and suck out all of the money and keep in a consolidated fund, which we don't have access to. We can't see. We can't do nothing about it. Right? And really and truly, all of this makes sense. If it is not our system, how can we tell them how to run it? Think about that. If it is not we that created this system, how can we tell the government, say, stop do that, don't do this, you can't meet in a parliament, you can't have this going. How are we going to tell them how to run their system? It has been there since day one, and it is still there. They are waiting for us to declare our independence. But in the meantime, they are going to trick us as long as possible to think that we are independent, that we are free. But in this day and age, You cannot be free and be silent. Let me say that again. In this day and age, you cannot be free and silent within society. Your voice has to be heard and your intentions have to be heard. This is why we say we all have to declare our independence. When I say we all, I mean those of us who see the benefit, because we know we're going to have people out there who are of a different mindset, right? So, for those who run taxi, right, they are facing a lot of disheartening situations, right? And many of them are very knowledgeable about the laws that surrounding, their profession, but they don't have any action steps. Much of what they are thinking to do is to ask. Again, marching up to somewhere, you might prompt, some vocal thing, but you will never get anything on paper. Right? You're not going to get nothing on paper. You can come on the news, you can make social media posts, you can do all of that. But you have to remember, it is still a colonial system. Under our new constitution, all of these things will cease to become criminal. Right? All of these things where the police is stopping you and looking for a crime, those things would cease. Because the police would no longer have that power. Even the other regulatory body, the RRF, which is the Road Regulation Force, they would only be there for public safety, right? So they would just be giving warnings. You wouldn't have this arbitrary fee schedule. Every little thing will happen, yeah, I get charged with fee, charged with fee, charged with fee. Everything, no, all of that would be gone. Because, again, it doesn't make sense to charge people for, what you can say, acts of nature, acts of God, things that are out of their control. It's foolishness. It is only beneficial when you have some reason to do that. For example, the government is not supposed to profit from the people. Let me say that again. The government is not supposed to profit from the people. It is like a child extorting a parent. How do we equate that? The government is created, it is called a creature of law. Right? The people vote in the government. And then the government dies. It is like a life cycle. So, when the government dies and you have election again, that is literally what happened, You have the dissolution of parliament, and then we, the people, have to come back and by the vote, by the action of voting, you resurrect that government again. And you give it a new face in many cases, and you give it its power again to go run wild. And you don't realize that that is a ritual. You just think it's a party thing. So, because it is a temporary creature, the government in no way should be able to profit nor gain any benefit from the people. It is ridiculous. It is nonsensical. But it only makes sense if the system was still colonial. Because in that case, the government was always oppressive. The government was, entitled to a percentage of everything you owned. Because you were under that slavery system. And slavery was not always in shackles. Slavery was also in the laws. Right? So the only way for us to remove ourselves from such a system is to create our own system. And so far we have not done so. So far we have not done so. So this is why we created our own constitution, right? By declaring our independence, we can now decide how we want our system to run. Again, it is not going to be easy, right? It is never easy, but at the same time, it has to start somewhere. Investment, lawful, greetings. It has to start somewhere. So this is why we have to look at all the problems we have, and we have to find a way to remove or to eliminate those problems if we had the chance to build our own system, right? So this is why we create manuals for all levels of government. All levels of government. So that way, we the people would have direct control in every single aspect of society, rather than be sitting there watching, begging and pleading that they stop siphoning off our money and punishing us for things that we know not. All right? So, let's go back here. So, the Declaration of Independence is at the top, right? And when you go to the table of contents, the table of contents is now live. So you can click on any section and you can see what exactly, excuse me, you can see what exactly you want to go to, which section of the Constitution you want to look at. Now you can just jump to that section by clicking on it, right? So at the very bottom, these links are not live yet. They're going to be live shortly. So that's why I said the draft is at 99%. So, for example, remember we don't have any instructions in law currently. In Jamaica, there are no instructions on how you would proceed in court for anything. So that is why many people don't sue. Many people don't bring their matter before the court because they cannot afford an attorney. In this system, all of these things, for example, the Civil Procedure Manual would outline everything necessary to bring your case before the court. So nobody would be ignorant of how they could bring their case before the court, right? Everybody would have this knowledge. From primary school going all the way up, we would all have legal knowledge. So we have the Civil Procedure Manual. We also have the Criminal Procedure Manual. So you know exactly what is supposed to happen if there is a criminal case of any sort going before the court. The same thing with the Family Procedure Manual. If we have family issues that end up before the court, everybody knows exactly what they need to do, right? So you don't necessarily need an attorney if you can read and follow the instructions. It would be that simple. So that is what we mean by we take the power away from these institutions and give it back to the people. Now again, this is a lot of reading, right? So you might not want to read everything because it doesn't pertain to you. So it still would not eliminate, attorneys and other people who may want to represent someone in court. But at least if you want to represent yourself and don't deal with people per se, you would have the option because you would have the direct manual on how to proceed, right? So with all of these, this would not only limit the government, but it would put back the power back into the hands of the people. Now, 1314. So let us go to this section. One, 1314. So here we have, no, not that one. Which one was it? Oh, that was jury, no. 1013. So here we have something called the law of public witness. You know how we have JPs nowadays, and well, many people have problems with JPs. In this new system, we would eliminate this JP system, right? No more justices of the peace. Why would we eliminate the JPs? Because again, that is a colonial structure. And it is an oppressive structure. Many times if you try to find a JP, and when you do find them, some of them say, I don't know you. I not sign this. I not open, I not have no time right now. As simple as it is to look at your ID and sign a document, you will have a mountain of issues many times trying to get a document signed by a JP. Right? So now we would introduce something called the law of public witness. Right? And they want money. Which they are not supposed to collect money, but whenever I go get into them details there. Right? But under this system, any member of the public would be able to sign a document as a witness, to attest a document, right? To give witness or to give credence to a document. And it gives instructions and details on certain things, right? If it's a regular document, it shouldn't matter that someone lives in your community or somewhere else, right? Because first of all, it is the people who are granting the power to the law. So the people have the ultimate power of not only contracting, but to activate the law, right? So let us just read a little section of this so you have an idea what we're talking about. Chapter 1, Purpose. This law recognizes and governs the authority of the people to witness lawful acts personally observed. It establishes the standards by which witnessed acts may be recorded, relied upon, challenged, and proved. It replaces unnecessary dependence upon appointing witnessing officers where competent citizens can provide independent and reliable evidence of an act. Because really and truly, when we want a document to be witnessed, it's just another individual, right? They don't have no special powers, they don't have no special nothing. Yes, they might have a seal or they might have a stamp, but that in and of itself does not make the document more or less valid. All they're really saying is that they were there and they saw you sign, right? Chapter 2, Foundational Principle of Civil Witness. The authority to witness a lawful act belongs inherently to the people. Government does not create the capacity of a person to observe and truthfully attest to an event, right? If someone is going to witness your signature, what does that have to do with the government? Is that a service just the government alone can provide? No. It's literally a man or woman just looking and making sure that it is you who signed the document. And of course you show your ID so everyone, or if someone knows you, they know that you signed, right? Written law may prescribe the number, qualifications, independence, form, and evidentiary effect of witnesses required for a particular act, right? So some documents may require 3 witnesses or whatever the case may be, right? But for a regular document, like a contract or something, a single witness or 2, it shouldn't be a problem. No public office, commission, seal, license, professional title, or government appointment shall be required merely to witness an act unless the Constitution expressly provides otherwise, right? And it goes into, how you can witness documents, what documents can be witnessed in certain ways, tells you what exactly kind of documents. So here you have an enumerated list, right, of document that can use public witness. It talks about public and private acts, proportional witness requirements, right? So, for example, if you have like a wedding, you might have more people witnessing, the marriage, and it just goes into different nuances of situations where we might have more than one witness needed to certify an act, right? Here we have a provision stating that it has to be voluntary. So you can't force someone to witness a document, right? No citizen shall be compelled to witness a private act except where a lawful civic duty is expressly established. A person requested to serve as a witness may accept or decline. Acceptance creates a duty to observe carefully, attest truthfully, and preserve any required record. A witness shall not sign an attestation concerning an act the witness did not personally observe. Right? Straightforward, simple. We don't need 300-page if you talk about how somebody can witness a document. So this act or this manual is rather short, right? So you have about 5 books, which again, there are about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pages for book 1. And each book talks about the purpose of why that section is instituted, right? So again, everything in plain view. Nobody has to search for. It's all a part of the Constitution itself. Now, these would be, again, separate books or separate manuals where if you want to learn exactly what that is about, you can just have that section where you can go and read. You don't have to read the entire thing. It's just like anything else. You only look at what pertains to you, right? So all of these manuals that we have in the Constitution is simply to limit governmental power, right? And cover every single aspect of society so that we don't have any kind of opinionated or feelings-based law, right? Take out everything that oppresses the people or causes us grief and keep everything in there just to keep society stable. And once we have a stable society, then we can focus on other things. We can focus on community. We can focus on building our nation. We can focus on our roads. We can focus on everything else other than basic living, basic survival. We can stop fearing that the police is going to pull us over. We can stop fearing that we're going to get abused, right? But we have to put these measures in place. Nobody else is going to do it. It has been over 64 years, and we're pretty much going through the same treatment, right? So this is why this is so important. We have to be educated first on what we're doing, and then from there, then we move forward, right? So for those who are here, share the link, share the website. Again, go to voiceofjamaica.com and you click on New Constitution, right? Share the awareness. We're going to start sharing consumables on TikTok and in printed form, where people can go and take a look at the Constitution and the different changes that would take place once we have something like this in place. All right, so what are we talking about when we say consumables? We're going to have some posts that you can share on your page, not just repost. You can actually share these posts on your page. We're going to have a section on the site where you can go and download the images, and if there's a video, you'll be able to share the video as well and bring awareness to the new Constitution. And we're going to have a complete section where We're going to have web versions of the Constitution. So for those who don't want to download a PDF, you can access it from the website. So that is coming up this week so that we can spread the message and we can get our fellow Jamaicans involved in this process, right? Because we're coming up on time when we're going to take the final step. But awareness comes first, right? People want to see the benefit. If, let's say, I support this, what is in it for me? What is in it for us? What is in it for my future generation? That is what is coming in these consumables, where people can see the benefit. What would change under a system like this? The final question that everyone keep asking, how are we going to do this? The government now gonna make we just take over the system. So that is in stage 3. First, knowledge, okay? Knowledge and awareness. If nobody knows what to do after we take action, what point is it? It's like somebody winning the lotto and don't know anything about saving. They don't know anything about investing. All they know about is spending. And it's so funny. I hear the story before of someone saying, I see so many zeros in my bank account, I didn't know it could finish. By the time they find out, they had less than $100,000 left in their account. No job, no investment, no house, no nothing. Right? You don't want that to be us. So this is why we are educating first. Each time we come along, we are going to keep educating and moving one step forward. We don't need to run. If we have been surviving this long, we can survive a little bit more so that we bring awareness around this issue and these solutions so that we can actually have a solid foundation when we decide to move forward with stage 3. All right? So we are out of time, but we will continue again. Actually, most likely tomorrow evening and on Wednesday. So stay tuned again tomorrow evening. We're going to have some consumables and some other things that we can share. We can also print out, and just like we started in the grassroots days, we can bring awareness through posters and light posts in different places. We can hand out, but this is the awareness phase. If people don't know about it, then it's not going to be as effective, right? So we're gonna pump some more action into the movement, but not in the way of changing the law or implementing the Constitution. Because again, we need to first be aware and be a little bit knowledgeable about what we're doing before we move forward. All right. So big up on yourself. I can't take any more questions at the moment, but next time we will have a Q&A session so that we can cover some of the other questions and possible concerns if you have concerns, and we will continue from there. All right. So big up on yourself. Powerful always.